Tupac kind of falls into my left arm.
A music icon killed in our streets.
I'm asking what happened, who shot you?
Fox 5 News investigates theories of revenge, corruption, and rap's most powerful.
It leads back to
Who Killed Tupac? Thursday on Fox 5 News at 10.
Las Vegas, Nevada. The most popular hip-hop star on the planet, Tupac Shakur, bleeds out in a BMW, victim of a drive-by shooting. 6 months later, rival rapper Biggie Smalls is brutally gunned down on the streets of LA in an eerily similar fashion. Both murders are forever linked and currently unsolved. Who killed Tupac Shakur and Biggie Smalls?
They'd have killed him right in front of the Pope.
Some say they were murdered by their closest allies.
They put a hit out on Pac for $1 million.
Were they truly victims of an East Coast, West Coast rap rivalry? Or was that just a cover for something more sinister?
guns, drugs, money. This is a really bad formula here.
Anybody that ever put their hands on me, I'll tell you, might not get you that day, but you're going to get got.
Well, Reggie Wright is taboo, you know, and he's part of it.
The Compton killings that occurred thereafter after Tupac was shot was just a diversion to make, you know, general public, law enforcement believe it was a blood Crip thing. When indeed, I mean, it was all orchestrated.
I have never been the type of guy that go and put any type of work, will never get no car and do nothing. I'm a reactor. I'm one that with you and that's going to react to things that happens. But yeah, I don't believe in being spontaneous at all. And so that's what I mean when I say I will orchestrate something.
Reggie Wright Jr., the head of security for Right Way Security and Death Row, organized the personnel to plan the hit, and I believe police officers were a big part of the hit.
You know, if I want somebody to get slapped or something like that, we're going to put a plan together. You'll never get me being emotional like a bitch and spontaneous and taking penitentiary chances. No. You probably can slap me. And I always said, you slap me, you might get away with slapping me right then. But trust me, you're going to pay for that slap one day. And that's what I mean by that.
Now we need to check out another part of Michael Carlin's theory. Reggie Wright Jr. and the allegedly dirty cops who he and Suge Knight was bringing into the inner circle of death row.
Stay away from Reggie Wright Jr.
I'm putting cases on some of them guys, so.
He is working with the feds.
Where are Biggie and Tupac?
As Denzel Washington said, I'm putting cases on.
You got a lot to cover up, y'all.
Freudian slip.
You got a lot to cover up.
We spoke to two head investigators on Tupac's murder. Here are their theories of the event.
I won't deny it, I'm a straight ride.
September 7th, 1996, Tupac Shakur, along with his associates from Death Row Records, are leaving a Mike Tyson fight at the MGM Hotel and Casino when they see Orlando Anderson, a known Southside Crip from Los Angeles. In this video from inside the MGM, Shakur, along with Suge Knight, can be seen kicking and stomping Anderson. Just after 11 p.m., Tupac, Suge Knight, and the rest of their entourage of about 6 cars were headed to a club. They were stopped here at the intersection of Koval and Flamingo. A white Cadillac pulled up alongside Knight's BMW and opened fire. Shakur was sitting in the passenger side and was hit multiple times. This is the last photo taken of Shakur the night of the shooting. He died 5 days later at UMC at the age of 25. 6 months later in Los Angeles, East Coast rapper Christopher Wallace, otherwise known as Notorious B.I.G., is gunned down leaving a party. LAPD detective Russell Poole is assigned the case and found the murder of Shakur and Wallace were connected.
Russell Poole was investigating this crime, and it kept leading to off-duty police officers. And he kept being told by management at the LA, hey, stop, you're investigating investigating.
Poole was eventually taken off the case. He quit the force and sued the LAPD. Author Michael Carlin helped Poole publish multiple books about his findings.
I'm just calling to tell you, look over your shoulder.
And says Poole never stopped working on the murders.
Dave Demersion is the senior ADA at the district attorney's office. We started having these meetings, and Dave was like, I'm still just not interested, not feeling this case. We doubled our efforts. We came up with 45 Tupac murder facts. We handed that to him, and finally he said, I am very interested in this case now.
In September 2015, 19 years after Shakur's murder, Poole scores a meeting with investigators.
A man takes 2 billion heartbeats, and the last 2,000 of his heartbeats are in a meeting with the sheriffs talking about sheriff corruption, and he passes away in the meeting. I mean, it defies logic.
Carlin says Poole had uncovered evidence that those inside Death Row Records planned to kill Suge Knight to take over the label. Shakur was also a target because, according to Poole, he was planning to leave the label and take hundreds of unreleased songs with him. FBI documents and former LAPD officers confirmed Death Row Records employed multiple officers who worked security.
The motive is Death Row Records. Death Row Records was worth $500 million. And the reality is, cops were involved in the murder of Tupac. The reason this hasn't been solved is because it leads back to cops.
Fox 5 tried to contact the former Compton police officer who took over Death Row Records after the murder. He did not respond.
Profile unsolved cases
right here in Las Vegas. Exactly.
Incredible. Great work, Cindy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Several informants told investigators the white Cadillac used in the shooting of Tupac was rented. However, police were never able to track down the car. We also reached out to the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. They told us they couldn't comment because the investigation into the death of Tupac Shakur is still ongoing. Greg Kading, the LAPD officer we spoke to for this piece, has published a book and has a documentary about his findings. He was taken off the investigation after an internal review found him guilty of altering witness statements.
And you are on their side. You're buddies with all of them, and you're protecting them. And why
You're
can't
right.
there just be
You're
an
absolutely
investigation?
right. Greg, what were you doing in 1996? Wait a second. Are we really going to get into, what were you doing the night of Tupac Shakur's murder?
So, guys,
what's going on?
Greg Kading is out. His lawyer won't let him do it, so Greg Kading is out. His lawyer won't let him do it, so.
Hey, Greg, where were you the night Tupac Shakur was murdered?
I have absolutely no idea.
We've been waiting around for Kading all day, and
and now
he's not
he's a
coming.
no-show.
Really, I wanted to talk to him because there's so much to ask him.
Yeah.
Greg Kading has no credibility on this subject matter. He became a task force member on the Biggie case 10 years after the fact. Kading left the LAPD in disgrace for his false testimony on a federal murder and racketeering case, United States versus George Torres Ramos, CR 06-656A SVW. Guilty verdicts were overturned in part due to Kading's testimony. He said LAPD cleared him of those charges, but that is not entirely true. Kading also had some help writing his book from disgraced LA Times reporter Chuck Phillips. Kading forget there were actual eyewitnesses to the Biggie killing. He spends a lot of time talking about things he knows nothing about. This is a desperate attempt for Kading to salvage his reputation. Suge Knight is a suspect, but not for the reasons Kading talks about. In closing, Kading never attempted to interview me regarding the Biggie investigation. He makes a lot of false statements about me and my part in the investigation. Retired LAPD homicide detective Russell Poole.
I used a racial term. I said, I'm not a racist.
Reggie Wright Jr., the head of security for Right Way Security and Death Row, organized the personnel to plan the hit, and I believe police officers were a big part of the hit.
Okay, today I want to talk to you guys about what this all means. Because what is the meaning of all of this? What is the meaning of investigating and getting to the bottom and finding the truth if it doesn't lead to change? Tupac was an activist. Tupac, had he lived, would have never been silent about what's going on today. He would have never been silent about this whole incident that just happened. And I don't know where it was, but I did see a video. I did make a comment about it. And we need police reform. This Tupac murder, the Biggie murder, if it does anything, it must lead to police reform. I was in Minnesota in the aftermath of the George Floyd murder. And I say murder because that cop, Derek Chauvin, did not need to have his knee on the neck of that man. That was reprehensible. That was a murder. Derek Chauvin's where he needed to be. A lot of people are talking about trying to get Derek Chauvin freed and what have you. And I think he's where he needs to be. We saw it on video. And we don't know exactly what we saw. We haven't seen those video people come out and talk about it, but we know that that looked reprehensible to us. And then we dig into it, and we find out that Derek Chauvin knew George Floyd. Now, doesn't that sound similar to another murder? We found out that Kevin Gaines had been murdered by Officer Frank Liga. And we learned later, many years later, through a recording, some cadet sitting at LAPD Police Academy hit record and recorded a rant Frank Liga was on where he admitted to knowing Kevin Gaines. He knew who he was killing. That's a homicide. That's a homicide. And so for that reason, homicides must be investigated. Now, one thing that you notice in Russell Poole's homicide investigator's creed is that it doesn't say, unless it's a cop. No, it says we get to the bottom of the facts when any human being is murdered. And so this whole thing must lead to police reform. And if you look at the scandalous Rampart scandal cops, they all were moonlighting. They were working off duty. And what happens? The first time you moonlight, you're renting out your badge and your gun. Well, let's say it's $300 for an hour. Okay, $300, you put that money in your pocket. But if something happens while you're there, you witness a crime, well, you can't really be a witness. Reggie says he wanted to have witnesses for the inmates, but they weren't going to testify. The whole point about hiring off-duty cops was to corrupt the whole investigation so that nobody could be investigated. Nothing that happened at your party, at your event, could be investigated. And before you knew it, they were running drugs. They were doing all kinds of malfeasance, including, by the way, murder for hire. Murder for hire. Because that's where this leads. It is a single small step at a time down into the gates of hell. And so how do we reform things? Well, the one thing we have to do, we have to pay police well. I'm saying any cop who wants to work and be a good cop, because that's part of the deal, we got to pay them $200,000 starting. They're going to work for $200,000, and that's what they're going to be paid. But there's going to be some caveats. Number one, you guys are getting $200,000. You cannot do any off-duty work of any kind. You are 100% a law enforcement officer, and that's what you do. No working security, no renting out your badge, no renting out your gun. And if people still want police officers at their events, there's a fee for that, but you got to pay that money direct to the Los Angeles Police Department or to the Sheriff's Department or to wherever you want to rent those cops. You got to pay for it. Why not, right? Second thing, police are going to bring their own insurance to the job. And that rate is going to be determined by an experience modification. That is just like when we go and get our car insurance. They look at our driving record, they look at, our whatever factors, what kind of car we've got, what kind of whatever. The factors that they determine how much that insurance is going to cost. Now, bad cops out there that are a little heavy-handed with people, well, there's going to be insurance claims made against their insurance, and so every year their policy is going to get more expensive, and eventually we're going to price these bad cops out of the equation. These bad cops are not going to be able to be cops anymore because this just isn't the right line of work. They're not insurable. So they have to bring their own insurance to the job. We're going to pay them well, and they're going to have to bring their own insurance to the job. Now, anytime a human being kills another human being, regardless of who it is, it's going to be investigated. Any human. That means if a cop shoots a suspect, there's going to be an investigation. And all of the murder investigation documents are going to be available to both the prosecution and the defense in a fully transparent manner. It is going to be illegal to withhold evidence from the defense. It is going to be illegal to withhold evidence from the prosecution. And by the way, it's already illegal, but it doesn't actually happen. Now, why not gather together all jailhouse attorneys, disbarred attorneys, and organize them to help provide defense by drafting the pleadings for somebody who is on trial? Let's get these super passionate people and let's give them something to do and pay them well too. And let's have them help out all of the defendants in any criminal case. They're going to be there to help because we want people to get a fair trial every single time. Not like what Suge Knight just went through with his whole Tams thing. That was self-defense. He had to get the hell out of there. They were coming after him with guns. There were multiple guns there, and everybody on the street knows that. But that was never allowed to be presented in a court of law. He was railroaded, 100% railroaded. That can never happen again. We must reform the prosecution and defense in criminal trials. And why not have jailhouse attorneys and disbarred attorneys helping to put together the legal defense of people who are facing criminal prosecutions? Now, law students, they need to be assigned to courtrooms and conduct oversight in every single courtroom over the judges. They show up and they weigh the full transparency that we've got in the defense and the prosecution, and they weigh every judge's decision. They rate the judges. They do also an experience modification on dealing with those judges, because judges can be bought off. Judges can have a bias. And judges many times, and I went and sat in a courtroom one day just to listen. And it was a whole docket full of people that were there. And by the time they got to the last case, the judge looked down at me and she said, sir, who are you? And I said, I'm just here to, weigh in on you. I'm here to, I've understood that I should come and spend time in your courtroom because I might be, surprised at what I see. And she said, what have you seen? And I said, well, is it okay if I ask you a question? And she said, absolutely. I said, Your Honor, I've sat here and I've listened to your opinion about every case up to this point. I said, but I've never actually heard you apply a law. Are you going to apply a law today? And the judge got off the bench and stormed off. The bailiff came over and laughed and said he'd never seen any shit like that before. She came back and weighed in on the last case, and she applied a law. And that's what I mean. Judges also must apply the law. They are arbiters of justice, and they must apply the law. And so law students are going to write briefs on why they think they did the right thing or why they didn't do the right thing, and those are going to become public, kind of like Yelp reviews, like Google reviews, on the judges. And then the next thing we must do is we must truly make justice blind. We must make justice blind. No bias should ever be allowed to exist in determining the outcome by a judge and a jury. Only the facts need to be allowed into the court to determine guilt or innocence. There's a lot of talk right now about weighing the justice system and maybe making some reforms. Police reform must happen. There's an intelligence branch inside the police, and I don't think it's healthy. I think you've got police that are fully running drugs in the United States right now. You've got police that are doing murder for hire. All of them need to be purged out of the system. You have heavy-handed police. They also must be purged out of the system. So that's just my 2 cents about it. Tupac said he was going to spark the mind. If Tupac were alive today, he would be at the center of justice reform. He would be in the mix on all decisions related to justice, because there was a very pronounced governor inside of Tupac, maybe not on him containing himself in a situation, but definitely wanted to see justice. He wanted to see justice. And maybe if we institute these kinds of reforms, we can see justice. I'm going to tell you a little bit, too, about the format of this. I've got a new opening and a new closing every time. There are clips in there to give you an idea of what happened and how it all happened. Now, I get it. A lot of you are new to the channel. You have to listen to every single clip. Every single clip is important, and it paints a picture. We are getting to the bottom of this. In the internet era, it is impossible to hide the truth. Now, some of you out there have information about this case, about the Tupac case, about the Biggie case. And those clips need to find their way into the opening and the closing so that we know what happened in the Tupac and the Biggie cases. And I think we're getting a clearer picture every single day. So be patient. I know it's a lot. The rap, I inflicted my rapping on all of you only because no rapper would do this. Now, all of my content is free for you guys to cut up, for you guys to repost, for you guys to use however you want to use it. I'm interested in getting justice for Tupac Shakur, justice for Christopher Wallace, justice for Bobby Finch, and justice for Russell Poole. And that's my only motivation in any of this content. It's why I wake up every morning. Let's get justice for these guys. And that means you guys can post this content wherever you like.
Greg Kading, the LAPD officer we spoke to for this piece, has published a book and has a documentary about his findings. He was taken off the investigation after an internal review found him guilty of altering witness statements.
Hey, Sharita, you ain't do with my friend with me on the phone now. Be nice.
No, it's all, that was my friend too. That was my friend.
That's still your friend.
That's my friend too.
And you are on their side. You're buddies with all of them, and you're protecting them. And why
You're
can't
right.
there just be
You're
an
absolutely
investigation?
Right.
So guys,
What's going on?
Greg Kading is out. His lawyer won't let him do it, so
We've been waiting around for Kading all day, and
yeah, and now
he's not
he's a
coming.
no-show.
Really, I wanted to talk to him because there's so much to ask him.
Yeah.
If it wasn't me, I would have liked the whole scene too. But my friend knew that what was portrayed in that movie, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not even going down Kevin's line. I'm talking about Sharitha Knight. You knew for a fact that was not said in that living room.
Everywhere, big business. You want to be successful? You want to be like Trump?
Where are Biggie and Tupac?
You got a lot to cover up, y'all.
Freudian slip.
You got a lot to cover up.
We got a lot to cover up.
About 2 weeks after that, I was contacted by Reggie to go over to Santa Monica Police Department to pick up this firearm.
Hackey says he first showed the handgun to his FBI handlers and then turned it over to Reggie Wright Jr. A month later in Las Vegas, investigators say it was a .40 Glock handgun that killed Tupac Shakur. Hackey believes the murder weapon was the same gun he gave Reggie Wright Jr.
I believe it is.
What up, Ball First family? How y'all doing? Hey, John, you got a lot to cover up, y'all. You know, we got a lot to cover up.
Reggie knows. I know he does. Because he said some things that are weird. I said, dang, man, that's pretty sad. I said, financially, that's going to fuck some shit up. And he goes, we ain't going to be hurt for nothing.
Puffy was going up the stairs, and he said, I don't care if Tupac died, I don't care if Biggie gotta die, and I don't care if Suge gotta go to prison for the rest of his life.
We got a confession letter on how everything went down and who's responsible.
Now, getting back to Russell was following in the footsteps of his dad, and he was able to work through the LAPD and have all the things that had to be done within the LAPD. He certainly knew the streets very well, and circumstances in his case were far more tragic because he was killed in the line of duty.
Hold your head on repeat. Listen to the beat. Again and again in my playpen till Tupac appeared to me. Finally I see. How do we keep the music playing with these devils betraying? Rap games, ghost, hocus pocus flows, exposing my foes and their John Does. Mad respect, Russell Poole detect. Murders checked. Now rest your head, bless the dead while the message spreads. Machiavelli said, my killers have not yet bled.
They got to be sorry for what they did.
Like I said, I had two of the toughest guys for him, and Reggie pulled them off of me. And after it happened, I told him to send 5 guys from the club to there, and they never sent nobody.
Suge was set up.
I'm like, cuz, you going to Vegas? You going to Vegas, cuz? They finna try to do something to me.
I mean, murder is pretty simple. The first person you go after is the spouse.
Perez and them was all involved. They were trying to kill me too, but see, because Perez and Reg was good friends, and Perez and Sharitha and Reg is great friends, and so all those three together was trying to plot.
Why would I want a paper trail when I never brought him around nowhere? So if I'm gonna hide him in secret, you think I'm gonna let somebody catch a paper trail? They were paid cash by Snoop.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
It was a murder for hire hit.
If it was an actual shooting in Vegas, it's on camera in Vegas.
There's witnesses that said they gave no sex to kill me.
corners everywhere in Vegas because I went to UNLV.
All of the corners in Vegas was equipped with cameras.
Those guys, if you go back and watch the film, they was already stalking Pac, watching him. So that just tipped the iceberg when something happened. But there was a plan already to do something to him.
How come Reggie is Suge's bodyguard and he wasn't with Suge?
We went to Las Vegas Metro in '97. After Biggie was killed, I think there's got to be a connection between the two. The politicians said they don't want to solve it, so they told the investigators put it up on the shelf. I'm quite sure if they saw the first one, they would saw the second one because it's the same circle of people. You got a lot to cover up, y'all.
Freudian slip.
You got a lot to cover up. Orlando wasn't even the shooter, you know? He was actually a good kid, too, you know?
The same guy that told them, Orlando Anderson, told them that Biggie got killed by the Southside Crips.
Technically, nobody knew about the whole thing.
No, let me just say this. No, it wasn't the discrepancy. The discrepancy is people say, I called names. I didn't call names. I didn't say it was Orlando, Keefe, and all of them.
I had gotten all kind of intelligence from my informants an hour after the shooting went down. He called me and started telling me, hey, man, you know, there was Orlando and them behind this. They got in a fight because they saw the chain, saw Orlando and all that. He says, but it's them.
I didn't know about the beatdown until a couple of days later.
Trickery, witchery, foolery, flop, plot to take out Suge and Pac. Traffic stop starts the clock. Collusion of industry, street and cop. Filmmaker takes one last shot. 60 seconds after, no more laughter. Half dead whips out Fatal's Glock. Pop, pop, pop. Pop, pop, pop. Quite the head turner, they's dad came over Nate's burner. Got 'em on Porky Squawker, surviving a real shocker. Fat ass said, we got a lot to cover up, y'all, and that's what's up. Stripped the straps, unloaded gats, Buntry shot back. 3 men in the caddy, just smoked a fatty, but it wasn't Sugar Daddy.
Supposedly there's a hit on Suge.
Wounds are life-threatening, but serious, not in critical condition at this time. And the person, as you are already aware, who was the passenger in this vehicle is a known rap performer by the name of Tupac Shakur.
With Tupac, I still got a 45 bullet inched in my skull.
We've been informed that doctors have told the family members that they expect the rap star to once again recover from his injuries.
They know who was going on behind all that stuff, you know? How much would it cost to get rid of Suge? They said, what you mean by get rid of him? He said, kill him.
They put a hit on Suge.
Reggie's dad told me that. Well, he said, Michael, if anything happened to Suge, this is what he told me. Anything happened to Suge, Reggie would run the majority of the company.
It's the same people, same circle of people. It have nothing to do with me, you know?
Read this on the paper.
Oh, yeah.
And then you gonna sit here and see
Who is your biggest defender on the street,
Fuck Suge and let Suge attack. That's how I feel.
Yeah, Reggie would carry most of the burden.
It come from because they want the ownership of my company. Hey, John, you got a lot to cover up, y'all.
Doctor said Pac's on the mend.
We tried to form some security detail, at least around the floor, around his room, because they had him on the first floor.
Surrounded by friends. Foes called in to make kin spin, finish him off.
We were pissed off. I'm like, this is an assassination attempt, right? And y'all got him on the first floor near a window.
Pac shook the bed, for his life he pled.
By the time I got there, remember I was coming from LA. So by the time I got there, he had tubes in his throat, in his nose, and his mouth. So he ain't talk to me, not verbally. He was conscious. He was trying to talk. He did want to talk, but he didn't actually verbalize any words. Always, that's going to be one of the biggest mysteries in my life, because he was trying to tell me something. He was trying so hard. He was shaking the bed. He was looking at me, you know, with his big old eyes, you know, and I know he was trying to tell me something, but I don't know.
IVs to the vein go straight to the brain. Poison would ease his pain. It only took a drop to make his heart stop. D.O.G. Scorsese created the distraction, lulled protectors in action for the final transaction.
The head of gangs and homicide from the Compton PD is Reggie Wright Sr., and the head of security at Death Row is Reggie Wright Jr.
The vice president on TV talking about taking my record off the shelves. Police, you know, every time they see me, they think I'm a cop killer.
It was an assassination attempt on Suge in Las Vegas, who would have everything to gain.
Tupac and the other artists on Death Row, it turned to jealousy, and from jealousy to hate.
I don't know what kind of next tail he had, but he had, the motherfucker could go, that whatever it was hitting him all the way from what was going on from Vegas.
I could have jumped out on his ass in Vegas, but it was killing me. But Snoop was like, hold on, don't fuck this up.
They was like, we could hear the shit, and then he started getting calls and shit, and they was telling him that Tupac got shot.
He the only one knows the reason why Tupac's dead, more than me. I was in the car with him.
And I was told it was an operation. It was a planned assassination.
How come Reggie is Suge's bodyguard and he wasn't with Suge?
He wanted to be Suge Knight so bad.
Where stuff really come from, it come from because they want the ownership of my company.
Because I feel like the same people that was trying to kill Pac was trying to kill Suge. You know what I'm saying? Them bullets was coming for everything in that car.
And if I do that, I'll be putting handcuffs on Snoop.
Police did not follow up on the most basic lead.
Just happened to have officers in the right spot at the right time, were able to radio ahead.
The cops that they trying to connect to Death Row were never hired on Death Row.
He had no relationship with any police officers.
When I got shot, it was 37 cameras.
All the artists at Death Row was willing to come with me.
There's other rappers who wanted Suge taken out.
I'm scared of no one. My pitch was to the record labels and to the company was to have police officers that could be good witnesses and for the inmates.
You crooked ass cop.
I didn't need to take from niggas. I was institutionalized motherfucker. If I felt threatened by anybody, you want to know the real. Nigga would have went to jail for a long time fucking with me.
Get everything you deserve.
Perez and Sarita and Reg is great friends, and so all those three together was trying to plot.
You always attack. Those are Reggie people.
Suge didn't let none of my security ride with me. Because I feel like they finna try to do something to me.
Some guys, ex-cops, who work off-duty
Police corruption cannot exist. Cannot exist unless it is condoned and tolerated by upper police management.
Greg Kading is out. His lawyer won't let him do it.
You crooked ass cop.
Las Vegas PD is given a copy of the confession letter. They do absolutely nothing with it.
Could it be that the police department had something to do with Tupac's murder?
Coroner's hearse, idols nearby, a dear mama goodbye. Rushed autopsy, quick cremation, police celebrations. Enemies snicker, Haitian bootlicker. We the people mourn, hearts are torn, bulk of the nation, radio stations, next generations.
And that's what happened. Our lives was in jeopardy.
Told you in the hospital there, something wasn't right.
Situation was, me and Pac had a little falling out a day or two before that in New York.
And you don't take no ass with them like that unless something's up. Unless the goose is cooked.
Who do you think killed Tupac?
I believe Orlando Anderson killed Tupac.
Are Sharitha and Reggie Wright Jr. telling the truth? Michael Carlin doesn't think so.
Orlando wasn't even a shooter, you know? He was actually a good kid, too, you know? No, Orlando Anderson, here he is, the only Southside Crip standing in a casino. He was planetary.
Wow, the last time I saw him, he was laying in the bed, holding on to his last breath.
Yeah, John, we got a lot to cover up.
Sold cops throw shade and blame, fill the frame. Orlando's a throwaway patsy, denies the murder flatly. It's a cover-up, a chaos merchant's cover-up. Can't stop the truth from bubbling up. This shit's a cover-up.
Nobody cared about Pac having the right amount of security at all, period.
No one cared.
It was not mentioned at all.
No one cared. No, and every time I ask Reggie, he gets really defensive. Told you in the hospital there, something wasn't right.
Interfering with the Vegas case. He's a lieutenant in Compton, LAPD, whatever. Interfering with the Vegas case.
Jimmy is close personal friends with Reggie Wright Sr.
Because Pop, that weekend before he went, was talking about pulling away from the labels and starting their own.
What me and Biggie want to do is take control of distribution of rap music. I said, oh boy, do you know what you're going up against? Do you understand the organized criminal networks you're going up against and the two major ethnic groups that run it? He said, yeah, we do. I said, well, you and Biggie can't do no shit like this. He said, we're not alone. We are organizing other young rappers.
And let's go and try to be a distributor on our own. At that time, it was 6 majors, and he was trying to be number 7. I remember he was talking about calling it Lucky 7.
Said if you control distribution, you can let them have their labels, you can give them anything else they want, but control distribution. From there, you control the industry.
We don't want that, man. It's enough brothers out here dying already.
Yeah, John, y'all got a lot to cover up. Y'all motherfuckers got Pac. Do y'all know how much that hurts our hearts?
Quail made you famous, your voice made you dangerous. Victim of jealousy, pour out your Hennessy. Death is calling me.
Stay away from Reggie Wright Jr. He is working with the feds.
In seconds, Biggie Smalls was dead, shot like Tupac in the passenger seat. According to the police, no random event, but a well-executed hit by a still unknown assailant.
What's the hateful rage for? Oh, 'cause you killed Biggie? Well, if I did, wouldn't it make you supposed to love me even more if you love Tupac?
Anybody that ever put their hands on me, I'll tell you, might not get you that day, but you're gonna get got.
Tupac is a great man. Still a great man. And if Tupac was here, that'd be the one person front line for me to get out of prison. Right now, seems like no one cares, like jealousy that took over. And the slave masters got niggas back being slaves. You even got a black slave master dressing like the slave masters. Enough said.